Welcome in. It is Show Pony Live on this Wednesday. Chris Childers. I got a special guest today. Just looking at him right now, I'm getting excited. He's handsome. He's sophisticated. He's everything that anybody ever wants to be. The great, the fabulous Dusty Dvoracek. Look at that. I got a fancy little banner for you that has your name and your companies and the whole thing that I made earlier today. Dusty Dvoracek, how are you, pal? Thank you for doing the show.
I am fabulous and improving. Thank you for asking. This is big time. I got to be honest. I hear you talk about this on the show, but I haven't seen one of the shows, which I need to start. I need to subscribe to showpony.com.
Oh, yeah.
But
showponymedia.com.
Showponymedia.com. The artwork was fabulous on the front end of that. I mean, that's big time. I love
that.
Oh my gosh.
I wish I could take credit, but I just told ChatGPT what to do, and I uploaded a few photos of myself, and it made the logo.
And
then I put it into iMovie, and it like zoomed out on it. And then YouTube, I found a free song, which I like with the little piano.
Yeah.
And I got that, and I started a little thing. And then, do you see the little QR code that I have?
I do.
I have a sponsor now. Isn't that exciting?
Igniter.
Yes. In fact, let me do my read here, pal.
Please.
Because this is very exciting. Show Pony Live is brought to you by Igniter Tickets. Whether it's a stadium or a local venue, Igniter delivers affordable, powerful ticketing solutions for every event. Scan the QR code now to see how they can help you unlock smarter ticketing, stronger branding, and standout experiences. Igniter, the software behind your sellout. These guys are awesome. So my brother-in-law is a part of this company, and he has a great team behind him, and they've been crushing it in Canada. And I was like, dude, let's partner up. They'll provide tickets for events at bars or concerts, or hell, you're like local high school play. They'll do a whole full service for that. They got a whole ticketing deal. It's pretty awesome. So ignitertickets.com is the way to do that. All right, Dusty Dvoracek, you are not here to talk about Igniter. I brought you on to talk about life, college football, your background, your history, maybe a little news as well. In fact, we should probably knock the news out of the way. I don't want to get in trouble by any stretch and be like, you're talking about the same thing you did on the radio earlier. But I must ask you, sir, about the AFCA, about the recommendations. Essentially, they're going to get rid of the playoff, and they're going to cut down on excessive bye weeks, or not get rid of the playoff. They're going to expand the playoff. What the hell am I talking about? They're going to make the playoff bigger. They're going to get rid of the 12-team version and get it to 24. I meant to say they're going to get rid of the conference championship games. Before we talk about you and your life and your career, how do you feel about the latest big news and potential of change? Because all we ever do now is change. I mean, we're like Aretha Franklin. A change will do you good, because that's all we do. But how you feeling about the latest coming from the AFCA and Craig Bowl?
First of all, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, hi.
It's a pleasure. First of all, I'm not surprised whatsoever that this is the case. Right? I mean, this is what we'd expect. Why wouldn't coaches want more access? This is what they want. More bites at the apple. So I expected. I do think it's important that we find out kind of how everyone feels. We know that 9 of the 10 conference commissioners are in favor of expanding and to 24 is what it sounds like. And then I believe Pete Bavacqua at Notre Dame the same. Now we know that the football coaches feel the same way. I'm nervous about it. I like 12. I think 12 has been great. We've only had 2 years of it, Pony. So, like, to me, I'd like to have a little bit more. I'd like to have a little bit more results and information we were ready to change this after 1 year, and we're ready to change it after 2. I would like to, if we're going to expand, I would rather take baby steps, 16 more so than 12. But no one cares what I think.
Yeah.
My biggest thing in all this is, what are we expanding for? And I'll kick it back to you. Are we expanding because it's what's best for college football? And if that's the answer to the question, then I'm here for it. Are we expanding because that's what fans want?
No. No is the answer to both questions.
Okay. Because to me, this feels like we're expanding for money.
That is why we're expanding.
We're expanding for self-preservation, athletic directors, football coaches. And I get, if I'm in their seats, I'm wanting to expand too. We had Pat Narduzzi on the show this morning. We asked him about this. You know what he said? The more the merrier.
Did he?
So, which is a great line. But where does it stop at 24? Because hell, if that's the motto, maybe the late Mike Leach had it right and we're going to 64. Like where does it stop? And so I'm not one that's like kicking and screaming, and I don't think that everyone is insane for wanting this. It makes me a little nervous. College football is amazing. You and I share a lot in common with our love for college football. I don't want this in any way to jeopardize what I think is the greatest sport on the planet. And that's where my kind of skepticism comes in. I can also sell you that there's some great about it. 2 rounds of home playoff games, 16 home playoff games. That's sexy. I like that. That's great. Yum, yum, give me some. I've been a big proponent of this, Pony, that the 12 team actually enhanced the regular season. And it makes more games more impactful late in the year. And I think that's played out. We had a caller call in this morning, an Iowa fan, said that he feels this will do the same. Maybe it will. I fear that it's going to erode the regular season a little bit. Maybe not. Does this lead to more Ohio State, Texas matchups? Does this make teams willing to say, you know what? We don't mind getting 3 losses. We're still going to get in. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to push ourselves. We want to schedule these good games. Maybe there's actually positives that come with it, but I can't sit here and tell you that I don't have my pom-poms out like some. There's some people that love this, that think this is going to be great, and I hope it is if we go to it. And it feels like that's where we're heading. But
I guess I look at it in a little bit different lens. It's not necessarily about the inventory in the 24 as opposed to the 12. The way I look at it is that once we went to 12, we found out pretty quick that we had to go a little further. And here's why I say that. You call conference title games. Which one did you just do this past year?
I didn't do one this year. I've done the American in the past. I've done several.
So you've actually done ones that matter.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, whatever crew did ESPN's coverage, it's probably Herbie and Fowler that did the SEC title game.
Yep, it was.
That game did not matter.
Right.
The teams did not move at all from their seed line from where they were coming into the week. The Big Ten title game, the only thing that mattered, that was going to be, or that would have been Fox. So that would have been Gus and Joel Clapp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And those guys, the only thing that came of it was Indiana was the 1 seed and Ohio State was the 2.
Yeah.
So we essentially took that weekend that used to have sex appeal and relevance in a 4-team world, and we deemed it irrelevant because nobody moved off those lines. So to me, because of the fact that weekend became pointless and it became nothing but a risky proposition for any team that participated from an injury perspective. So now we look at a weekend that's lost. How do we get rid of it and not lose the money? Enter playoff expansion.
I hear what you're saying. You're not wrong.
I just think that's why they're doing it. I don't like it, but that's why they're doing it.
I'm still one. See, Greg Sankey doesn't want this to happen. I think that if we stayed at 12 or 16, I think a lot of people would still want conference championship games. I don't think it's universal that coaches don't want conference championship games. I know they just voted on that. I've been one I've waved the white flag on this. I've defended conference championship games. I've played in a couple of conference championship games. I value conference championships. That's a dying thing. I mean, I would just say that, if BYU would have won, that game the Big 12 would have mattered. BYU would have beat Texas Tech. They would have gotten in the playoff. If Virginia would have beaten Duke, that game mattered. They would have been in the playoff. And this year we're going to have a 12-team playoff where they've changed the format a little bit. The 4 Power 4 conference champions automatically get in. Duke would have gotten in if it were this year. So, to say that they don't matter, you are correct in the SEC and Big Ten did not seem to matter. Those teams still got in, win or lose. And the only thing that changed, you're correct, is the seeding of Ohio State and Indiana. But there's still something to me about conference championship games. These conferences are so big, it's tough to deem a champion. We're going to have ties and co-champions, and I guess no one cares about that because we are moving to a world that is all about the playoff. But my question is also with this, Pony, because Pat Narduzzi made this comment today, and it made me sad. He said that the bowls are dead. They're dead. He used those words. He didn't sugarcoat it. He said they're dead. Man, that sucks. I'm going to be real. That sucks.
Sadly, they are, though. They're dead.
But I hate that. I hate that.
Sure.
So now we're actually getting less college football. We're going to get less college football. It's what's going to happen. And, this thought of, having, and I know maybe there was a little bit too much. Personally, to me, any day with college football is better than a day without. I wasn't one that complained. If I didn't want to watch a bowl game, I didn't watch it. But guess what? There's probably a couple million more people that were watching it because they rate out of this world. Mm-hmm. But those are going to the wayside. I don't know what happens with the bowl system, but I mean, it's going to be a massive shift, and it's one that I'm still going to love college football. I'm still going to embrace it, but I'm nervous. I'm really nervous, and I think that as far as the driving force and the push for the 24, I think there's a lot at play here, but access, money, other networks, I think, are also pushing this. I think Fox is a huge pusher of this. They want a piece of the playoff. They want other networks want in. My employer, ESPN, we have sole, broadcasting rights of the college football playoff. If it expands past, I think, 14, that changes. So I think there's a lot of components and driving forces that are leading to this. But at the end of the day, what's good for college football and what's good for the college football fan, which is why all of us are able to make a living doing this. So the players are able to make all the money they make, the coaches make all the money they make. There's this media freaking empire that continues to grow year over year about college football because of the fans. And I feel like what's good for college football and what the fans truly want are the last thing anybody's worried about right now.
Well, that's what I said the other day. I said this yesterday on the show, and I know I brought you on to talk about your career, but I mean, this is obviously the hot topic. I said, who should be running college football? You know who should be running it? The guy that packed out Kyle Field this past weekend, that put 102,000 people there. You tell me that guy, Jesse Cole, couldn't figure it out, because how has he built a gimmick into something big? Everything has been about the fans. I want you to have the best experience possible, and then everything grows from there. And we lost that. We are just extracting money from people. We're taking people's souls, and eventually they'll say, I'll find something else to watch. I'll go watch curling or rugby or so. I'll go find something else that's got to be cheaper than sitting here, spending all this money and the ticket prices and everything. I mean, it's insane. The NIL, the collective, the handouts. I know you see it firsthand in Norman. It's wild, but that's why they're going to expand it. It's all in the name of money. It's all in the fact that they ruined the conference championships, and they got to find a way to replace it without losing revenue. Period. That's why they're going to do it. Is it going to hurt the product? Probably. But you know what? They don't give a damn about that, nor do they care about it in basketball. And they've done it to themselves because their stupidity, their arrogance, and their ignorance got them in this situation. And the Supreme Court smacked them all in the ass 9-0 in June 2021. And now they've been dealing with it. And the reason they need more money is because they're getting sued hand over fist. And it's not going away. How about the ex-Alabama and Ohio State wide receiver, Jamison Williams, who's suing for his money?
Yeah,
He's
Big
not going to
Ten,
be alone,
SEC,
dude.
NCAA, yeah.
He's not going to be alone. I'm telling you right now.
The one thing I'll push back on.
Go ahead.
I think that, and maybe this is stubbornness of me for me to say, but there's a part of me that thinks that this is bulletproof. And I say that because,
well, the games are too good. They are idiot proof.
The games are too good, but the fans are too great.
Yeah.
And I think
take advantage.
There's a component of, as long as that Buckeye helmet is out there, there's going to be people that are showing up at the stadium, and they're going to be showing up at their television sets because they love it. They love everything about it. I live in Norman. If the Sooners if there's Sooner football going on, I don't know. These fans, it's in their blood, brother. You know what I mean? Like, and I hate to say that because you shouldn't view things like that. And I fear that that's what the people calling the shots kind of know. No matter what we do, they're still going to show up. They're still going to be right there because they're so great. They're such, they're so loyal to their teams and their brands and their programs and the history, the tradition, the now. And that's the only thing is I don't know, even with the change and with the landscape that's just, we don't really know what the future holds. I still think the college football fan will be right there. And I appreciate the hell out of them,
I do too.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
Well, we got no livelihood without them. So thank you, every college football fan out there, because we'd have nothing to cover and we'd be sad little boys. Dusty Dvoracek is our guest here, SiriusXM and ESPN superstar. And we'll talk about his career here in just a second. Do have to remind everybody, showponymedia.com. Subscribe today for insights into the world of college football, but sports media as well. I have been writing a ton about sports media, the changing landscape, my opinion from somebody who's on the inside of academia and working as a professional. I've written a lot about the changing landscape of covering football and all that. So showponymedia.com. Plus, for all your ticketing needs, go to ignitertickets.com. If you have a concert coming up or a event at a bar or a sporting event, a high school baseball game, whatever you need a ticketing service for, you're like, how do I do this? How do I sell tickets? ignitertickets.com, full service. They'll take good care of you. I promise you that. The QR code right there in that corner. Just hover over that, and they'll give you all the information that you need. All right, Dusty. So you are a college football king now. You have made your way onto ESPN for the last several years. You've become one of the key voices of college football. You've worked your way up from the bottom. Let's tell the story. You retired what year, and what year did you decide that media was going to be your new calling?
So I retired in 2011. So I played 6 years professionally. And Teddy Lehman, who was a Butkus Award-winning linebacker, a multiple-time All-American, one of my teammates at Oklahoma, him and I were kind of wrapping up at the same time. And we, as you can see here, I've got my business degree from the University of Oklahoma. I thought I was going to get into something in the world of business. And him and I both were kind of like, what are we going to do? And his wife actually went to the gym with a local radio station owner, and she got us an interview.
Nice.
We sat down with him, and Randy LaFoon, kind, amazing, great man. He said, I'm sorry, I got no money and nowhere to put you. I said, okay. I said, well, can we at least pop on and do some spots? So we pop on with one of his hosts. I think we did an hour. He's like, that was great. Would you guys want to do some post game? I think Oklahoma was playing A&M that weekend. So this is circa, I think this is November of 2011. And so would you want to do a little post game? We said, sure. Yeah, let's do it. Post game went well. He said, would you guys want to do some fill-in stuff for the holidays? Sure. Within 6 months, we had our own show.
Yeah.
And we went from mornings to midday to
Mhm.
afternoon drive within a year. And
Nice.
so it escalated quickly.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my start, was getting into local Oklahoma radio. From that, we pitched the Oklahoma radio broadcast and went to them, and we joined the radio broadcast as sideline analyst with Chris Plank down on the sideline. Then they had something there in-house called Sooner Vision. Sooner Vision came to me, said, "Hey, do you want to start doing some pre and post game stuff?" I said, "Sure." Sooner Vision was on back then. Remember when Fox had all the regional channels?
Yeah.
And it was Fox Sports Southwest is what we were on. The people from Fox Sports Southwest saw me on that, so they picked me up for a Big 12 show. And then I was doing that for like 3 or 4 years, still doing the local radio, and now starting to do some TV. And I was like, I want to do something more. And so I had barely even been on social media. I mean, this is probably, when is this, Pony? This is probably 2014.
Okay.
Ish.
About 12 years ago. Yeah. It's wild.
New to social media. New
Yeah.
to Twitter. Didn't know much. And I reached out on Twitter to Kirk Herbstreit.
You
not
did.
know him. Reached out to him. Remembered me as a player. Yeah. DMing me. And, was asking for advice. I reached out to Joe Klatt, and Doug Gottlieb was a buddy of mine. Reached out to Gottlieb. I'm like, what should I do? This is, I want to keep growing. So Gottlieb said, get an agent. Klatt didn't really tell me much. And Herbstreit said, I'm going to set you up with this guy. His Lee Fitting at the time, who was running college football.
Yeah.
And so I put together a reel, which I went with the producer, took like all this stuff that I had from Sooner Vision and Fox Sports Southwest, and I put it in like a 15-minute clip. And I sent it back, and they're like, oh, no, you need to make that like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Oh, my God. So I condensed that down. Got an interview with ESPN. I went, and interestingly enough, I did my audition in Charlotte with Matt Schick.
Oh, really? So you had to do the audition too?
Did the audition. It
wasn't just like you get the chance. You got to actually do it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I went. I had a bunch of interviews, had an audition. I'll never forget. Schick was great. It was like 20 to 25 minutes. We did everything. We did, highlights, and went through the highlights like you would on SportsCenter, which I thought was so cool because I grew up.
Yeah. Were you scared at all? Like, don't blow this, or was it just?
I mean, yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, right. Like, I was scared, I was nervous, but also confident. And then, so we did all these different things, and I'll never forget. I was like, God, I look at Schick afterward, and I was like, God, what do you think? How'd it go? He's like, they're going to make you an offer. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I do this. He's like, I've done this quite a bit. You're good. You're going to get an offer. And I'm like, shut up. You're a liar. Within like a week, I got an offer from ESPN.
Really?
And I thought I was just going to be doing studio. I had never done games ever. And they signed me to that was my first year. I was 10 years ago. I just finished my 10th year at ESPN.
Wow.
So started doing games with Clay Matvick on ESPNU back when they had the ESPNU studio still in Charlotte and showing live shows on ESPNU studio shows. I was doing that. And then it's been wild, man. Then from there, went on Friday nights. I knew nothing, Childers, nothing. I mean, it was like, here, just throw you in the deep end of the pool, swim, figure it out. And with working with good people, just try to progress and figure out along the way. But that was how I got started. And it was really, I'll say it was a lot of hard work, but it was also, wanting to continue to grow, reaching out, trying to utilize contacts. And, Kirk Herbstreit, he was, just him, that introduction was integral in getting my foot in the door. And I'm forever grateful and appreciate his friendship and his mentorship. And, obviously you have to go earn it. You've got to go get it done. You've got to go do well in the interview process and, the audition. And then once you're in, you got to continue to produce and, be good at your job. But it also takes somebody helping you and getting you a break and they oftentimes say it's not what you know, it's who you know. I think sometimes, people helping open doors for you is huge in any walk of life, and especially in this profession.
Massive, absolutely massive in any walk of life. It's what business is all about. It's what life's all about, relationships. Jason Horowitz said the same thing. That's how he got his opportunity with the Raiders. Jim Gray heard that he was interested in the job and was sitting there with the guy hiring for the Raiders and called Jason. And it got things going. It was Matt Berry on the other day who gave me a story of how he was making 16 grand in Wisconsin and just kind of bet on himself and found himself in Dallas and then got a chance to audition for the Longhorn Network of all things and didn't get that, but they said, we'll give you a chance in Bristol instead. It's kind of wild, and it's all about your relationship. So every young broadcaster, the reason I'm doing this podcast is partly to talk college sports, but mostly to talk about media and hoping that, people that want to get into this business see this, because I've had all these incredibly successful broadcasters on to say, hey, this is how it's done. And it's all, you cannot be above all else, do not be an ego person.
No.
Do not act like you're owed anything. Do not have narcissistic traits. If you do, you will last a very short amount of time. And I've seen people get chewed up and spit out on SiriusXM over the last 20 years. There's been a lot of people that have been on the channel in the last 20 years. And the ones that aren't there anymore, for the most part, aren't there anymore because of their attitudes. And that's simply what happened. Simply what happened.
One thing, being able to work with anyone is very important. And that being a radio host, and if Rick's not there, you've worked with Rick for a long time, but you've worked with all kinds of folks, and you've worked on.
Oh, it's even easier to work with people that aren't Rick.
Yeah.
Because Rick doesn't really do the traditional preparation.
But Rick's great. You guys
He's
have
the best.
and you guys have been doing it so long. It's awesome. But being nimble and, being able to adapt and adjust. I mean, that's a great piece of advice for any walk of life, really. You hear that from football coaches. Football coaches have to be able to adapt and adjust in game with where the sport has gone. It's no different than if you're a broadcaster, being able to adapt and adjust to who you're working with, because some people are a lot tougher to work with than others. Some people are easy, and it doesn't feel like work. Sometimes it feels like work, whether it's on TV or it's on radio. And regardless, I think having a good attitude, being as positive as you can, and, being willing to do whatever is asked, I think is always very important. And, kind of like you're saying, like, if you get to a point, you've been doing it for a while, I think then to pay it forward is also very important.
Huge.
What you're doing, or when someone asks me, a young broadcaster asks me for advice, I don't have all the answers. I can share my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you what I've done, things that have gone right, things that have gone wrong, and I can offer that and do whatever I possibly can. But I think that's so important in this as well. Like, don't have an ego, don't be rigid, be flexible. And, if you're good at your job, energy, passion, things that you have, things that great broadcasters have, I think are always very important. Being prepared, I think all those things go without saying, but I really do think being flexible and being able to adapt and adjust to whoever you're working with, I think is a massive part of having longevity in this business.
Said Dusty. You didn't know I had a little access to
what is going on? I mean, you got all these bells.
You love that?
This is crazy.
Check this out. If you were to say something funny, you like that? Or sometimes I talk about the train coming down the tracks. Oh, yeah. Or if something is exploding. Or Rick Neuheisel and his 3-game losing streak.
Knocked down.
Stock down.
Did you do? I didn't hear it today. I didn't listen to the show.
I didn't do. I don't have the guts.
Damn.
I don't have the guts.
What if he would have done it to himself? You think he would have done that?
This is him at nighttime. And this is me talking about his team. Little soundboard.
Man. We've been.
This is, you could make whatever you want out of it.
So let me ask you. Real quick, and I'm sure you're going to kick me off here because we're hitting our.
Yeah,
our
I was going to
limit.
ask you about preparation for a game if you have like 2 more minutes, but go ahead. Yeah, you finish.
I'm just curious because you've done radio for so long, and so have I. I've been doing radio for almost 15 years, but podcasting is now the new thing.
Yep.
Now you're diving into this world.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about podcasting now that you're a part of?
Well, it's weird because for me, I'm doing it all by myself. So I'm hitting all the, every time you see one of these things, I'm doing it, right? Yeah. So like if I do that or this or put your name up there or do the Igniter tickets thing, like I'm doing that. Or I can do like, hey, Igniter tickets, go check them out, and kabam, right there on the screen. Isn't this fantastic? Or great. Check this out. I'm going to do this for a second, but this is a PSA that I've been running. Like if I have a guest and I'll do and I want to still have a time for a rant. So I'll be like, we'll be right back. I'm just going to play 5 seconds. Hold on.
These are your teams, your players, your community of fans.
Isn't that cool?
It's so cool.
I know. It's a whole thing.
I can tell you're learning on the fly.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Now check this out. Like if you were just wanting to rock, and you're just like, man, if you were ranting, I could have a little rock music behind you. Like Dusty's he's going.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you and I were, let's say we did a Sunday show together, and we had a bunch of highlights from the day before, can you play like a highlight and then we talk over it?
Wow. I did have some loaded. Let me figure out if
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I think
you tell your story. I'll tell you what. You tell your story right now of what you do for preparation, and I'm going to show you how I can play little clips and stuff.
Okay, so this is a typical week for us. And I've been working with I've been ESPN 10 years doing games on TV, and been with Dave Pash now 5 years. Love working with Dave. He's fantastic at his craft. You need to get him on here too. I mean, he's a legend. We find out typically Sundays around anywhere from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. our game. So Sunday we find out. We may have an idea, but we don't know until the grid comes out. And then so I get my game and I start watching film of I have access to a system called Thundercloud. And I have access to everybody's film. And it's just like if I was a player or a coach, I get down and distance, I get all 22, and I get the tight copy. And I've got like a little clicker, a little cowboy. So it's on my iPad. I go through film and I start watching Sunday. And I try to throughout the week, I'll try to watch at least 3 games each side of the ball, each team, which is it's very similar when I was a player. The difference is, when I was a player, I was just studying offenses. Now I got to watch it all and special teams. So it's pretty extensive film study, and I'm going through. I'm looking at personnel. I'm looking at tendencies. Especially on third down. What are they thinking? What are they doing? Just trying to get a feel for these players, these coordinators, how they're going to call a game, and different things. Then typically the away team, we will do interviews on Wednesday, travel to site Thursday, try to go to practice Friday morning after my radio show, which I have with Danny. By the way, Dusty and Danny in the morning series.
Yeah, check it out.
6 to 9.
Best show on SiriusXM College.
Eastern time.
Easy.
And so and then I try to go to practice, and then we go sit down with the home head coach, coordinators, players, all that stuff. And then, usually a production meeting on Friday after all this is compiled. Throughout the week, you're also gathering information, articles, that are sent. You're reading through the game notes, anything that pops up on social media throughout the course of the week. You're basically just compiling all these things. And then I get my game boards and I try to take from my film study, from what I've read, from my coaches' meetings, and I put what I want for the broadcast on my boards. Real quick, hang on. Let me give me 1 second.
Yeah, let me see it. And I got my little video clip pulled up for Dusty so he could see how fancy this little program is. Oh, look at you. You do that whole thing.
I've kept
damn.
I've got in my closet 10 years worth of these.
Really?
And this one is possibly my pride and joy. I've got pretty much every game I've done. This we did the Cotton Bowl, Ohio State, Miami. What an incredible game that was. But so this is what I have in front of me during a game. So
okay.
Like, if you want to get a look at it, like,
I've
got it color code. So, with like Carson Beck, I've got his numbers, but I've got, size, experience, accuracy, big arm, just different little nuggets, tidbits, quotes from him, just little different stuff. I would say I use this throughout the course of a game. It's sitting in front of me. I use what's on this board looking down maybe 10 to 15% of the time, but I've got it right there. Like it's like,
if you need it.
And it's almost like when I've done all this studying all week and I'm getting myself in game mode. And when I write it down, I typically write it down the night before, morning of, because then it's like I don't know how you are, but just the way my process is, once I write it down, it really like etch it in my mind as much as I write it on paper. But it's still right there as a reference point for me to have in front of me. And then it's like, get to the stadium and we go down the field, get final preparations. And it's very much like a player, man. Like game days I love. I'm fired up. In the barn, the work is put in. There's a lot of work during a live broadcast. Don't get it twisted, but what it was as a player.
Yeah.
I think of it like a player. If you're prepared, then game day's fun. And then obviously if a great game spills out in front of you, you're prepared to broadcast it and talk about it. So that's kind of my weekly process. And I've got what I want to do, Pony, is I want to get all 25 of my favorite games, get these laminated and do like a wall here in my office of just those games.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
That would be really sweet. I was going to show you really quick before I let you go. So if we were doing a show on a Sunday and let's just say it was last week and we were talking about the NFL draft, and on this show, I was like, on Pro Football Focus last year at this time, they had Cade Klubnik going 4th overall to the Jets. Well, he ended up going in the 4th round to the Jets, and here's what the Jets had to say.
He got hurt early and was playing hurt much of the year, and that team kind of struggled, but was excited to get around him at the Combine. Had a great Combine interview, which kind of sparked us to want to get down to Clemson and work him out and spend some more time with him. And we went.
Sweet, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Man.
Now tell me real quick so I don't get sued what you think about Cade Klubnik and the Jets. For fair use.
I think
I'll give you like 15 seconds. It's all good.
I think the 4th round pick, is fine.
Yes.
I don't know if he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I like his leadership. I like his intangibles. Got to be more consistent throwing the football. But, I honestly was a little surprised he went as high as he did. But good for him. He's a very likable guy. But I could see him easily being a lifetime backup in the National Football League. But, hopefully he can make the most of the opportunity. But, why do you have to pay that off? Why do we have to talk about it?
I think because if I use it, it's got to be like I got to react to it right away for it to be under fair use legally.
Okay.
So that's, So I don't know if I really do, but I'm just being safe. Dusty Dvoracek, thank you. Listen to Dusty and Danny Monday through Friday on SiriusXM during your morning drive. Watch him on ESPN. Dusty, I appreciate your time, buddy. Thank you very much.
This is awesome. You're the man. This is good. Yeah, well done by you. Happy for you.
Thank you, sir. And it's time now to say goodbye.